been a minute. Louisiana Free Patriot here again. So, reason I don't make a lot of videos anymore, most of the time I do my thinking in the car and on the bike a lot more. Even in this cold weather, I still ride. But I blew a shock out. Well, not a shock, I sheared a bolt holding one of my shocks on my Fat Boy Softail. Don't hit a hard bump at 110 miles an hour. Word to the wise. Something's gonna break. Alright. For all those people that say we as individuals can't do anything, yeah, you're partially correct. But enough of these individuals start doing the same thing, comes together to something big. Start looking at all these states that are coming together stronger and stronger for the Second Amendment, even though the government's trying to push harder and harder. Even they're starting to back off a little bit in some ways. Then you've got Facebook and all the censorship. People are leaving Facebook. They're losing millions of dollars because people are tired of the BS. They're going elsewhere to the new platforms. And that is what makes our nation great. That's what makes what we do, the way we live our American lives, the way our government is set up. That is what makes us great. We do things together. We make things better. Don't ever say that this vote won't count, or if I leave Facebook or I quit shopping Amazon or whatever, it won't make a difference. Well, just think, you're not the only one thinking that way. You're not the only one feeling that way. But when you do stop going on Facebook, you stop shopping at Amazon, you stop going here, you stop doing this or that because they don't align with your way of life. You feel they're no longer supporting the American way or the freedom of our people, of the people of the United States, or whatever country you're in. The almighty dollar and your voice means a lot more than you know. So we're moving in a good direction there. But at the same time, world government leaders are moving in a more harsh and more deadly game they're playing with this stuff with Ukraine and China. I haven't spoke on it, I don't think. You got a lot of people say, well, it isn't going to affect us here. Okay. That's on the other side of the world. I'm a chess player, and and in life, I believe in the old adage or saying, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Well, worst case scenario, looking at this as a chess player, China and Russia have been working together and training for at least 10 years that we know of. They've been building their relations strongly and publicly, we know, over the last 5 years. Alright? Both Russia and China want the United States. Russia primarily would like to have just all of Europe and Eastern Asia. And Europe, not Asia, but Europe. They want to spread all the way across. China wants the Americas, North America and Canada. Chinese troops are already in Canada. training, winter training, and as part of NATO. They've got a base and troops stationed in Canada, literally just a couple of miles from the Washington border, or Oregon border. I think it's Washington. No, Oregon. The one that's furthest north on the west coast. Together, Russia and China have over 7 million troops. The United States have 3 million or less. All right, and that's pre-COVID numbers. They've been kicking out our soldiers because they don't want to get the shot. They've been weakening our military with weaker training, weaker standards, and just making them less effective. We have poor leadership in the White House, poor leadership in the Senate and Congress. Weak. Both are extremely weak. Joe Biden is a joke to the world. Nobody takes him seriously. The other day, Putin and Biden had a phone call for about an hour, and those talks failed about Ukraine. All right. My mindset. What happens if China puts 500,000 to 1 million troops into Taiwan? What happens if Russia deploys their troops, 500,000 to 1 million troops, to Ukraine? Well, the world, NATO, is going to deploy to both locations. And allies of each of those nations will send their own troops as well to help support the NATO troops. U.S. will deploy to both regions, considering we also, if I remember correctly, have a base in Taiwan. So we're going to deploy troops. American soldiers will be sent. We have American soldiers being sent to the Ukraine or right around the Ukraine right now. So, Biden saying we are not going to get involved, we already are. But that depletes our military. That leaves, combined between Russia and China, 5 million troops still to deploy to North America, the United States and Canada. Russia would cross through Alaska into Canada to the U.S. China got shipping containers all over on both sides, east and west coast, waiting to come into port. What happens if some of those container ships have some of the new missile batteries that I've seen that are disguised as containers, as cargo containers? And they could strike military bases up and down the eastern and western seaboard. Hello. Mexico's not going to stop a force from coming in if that's happening all at once. Mexico, their government, is ran primarily by, I hate to say it, but the mafia. The mafia will side with whatever side they think is going to win. So, walking in the southern border. Movies have a strange way of portraying possible futures. We could be looking at a Red Dawn scenario. Except they're not going to be dropping in on airplanes. They're just going to come in. Our borders are so weak that it is very easy for them to bring troops in without us knowing it. Not the heavy equipment yet, but troops to set in to create keyholes to where they can bring heavy equipment in. And if our troops, our forces are deployed, that only leaves the American citizens to defend our nation, the Canadian citizens to defend their nation. So everybody who's prepping, think about that. Those that aren't preppers, think about that. Don't just get your bullets. Don't just get your food supplies. You need to get medical. You need to get batteries. And I strongly recommend getting a Faraday cage or Faraday bags, making them if you have to store things, because it would not be very hard for these small cells to come in that are already in the nation to create an EMP weapon that could shut down the grids in major cities. Or what happens if on one of the nations, China or Russia, do launch a major EMP attack on us? Launch the new hypersonic missiles that we have no defense against, to get into the upper atmosphere with a nuclear payload, and thus detonating there, causing an EMP blast that could black out half to 1/3 of the country. And if they fired multiple, they black out, and they're able to detonate them where they want, black out the entire northern hemisphere. Think about these things, prepare for them. Get with your communities, know your neighbors, because things are getting bad all over. Inflation. What happens? What happens when what happens if the economy crashes, the stock market just collapses, and we go into another Great Depression? The banks close, and we have to go back to a barter and trade system because you can't get money out the bank. What happens when your $100 becomes worth about $20? Look at alternative means. Barter and trade. Gold and silver has always got value. In fact, gold is going up. Silver is going up. Precious metals are going up. That's also not a good sign. So just things to think about. Be ready. Know who your friends are. Develop lines of communication. It could be simply having things you would put outside your house, so that y'all would know what's going on in the neighborhood, who to prepare, what's going on. Ham radios, walkie-talkies. Because if the grid goes down, the cell phone's going to be useless except for pictures, anything you got saved in it, if the EMP blast doesn't destroy it. Get hard maps, paper maps, so that you can navigate your areas and your states, and even the nation if you have to. Learn how to read a compass. Learn knots. Being able to tie effective knot for different situations, knowing the right ones to use, literally can mean life or death. Hone your skills. Train, be ready. the time to be ready. If things go south the way they look like they're going, your time's almost up. It's Louisiana Free Patriot. Thank you everybody for watching. God bless each and every one of you. God bless these United States of America.